Their group is. Oh, chick, 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 chick.
No chains on me. I'm so free, I got no chains on me. I'm so free, I got no chains on me. I'm so free, I got no trip running through the. Ay, right back where I started with it. Ay, I've been known since college with it. Ay, they hit the club, I hit religion. Ay, Jesus, Jesus, I'll admit it. Ay, I just give them living raps. You just give them Insta snaps. Do we need another post? You insecure, you do the most. On my side, we revive God through the Wi-Fi. T'Challa Pop never colonize, round the high fives for the top God made us dangerous. Ain't the bust flame but dust, every idol bring to us gangs of us. Trained to trust a name that's blood stained on us, Christ gained on us. I was running with the shade, yeah. Running through a trade, yeah, yeah. Bro flex, we invest, hear me, yeah. This is what you get, yeah, yeah. I don't need respect, I'm the threat. Tell them I'm so free, I got no chains on me. I'm so free, I got no chains on me. Nappy head, no shame on me. I'm so free, I got no chains on me. Hear me? I'm so free, I got no chains. Look at my neck, boy, no chains. No shame. Rapper. Yeah, come get your opinion, it don't matter. Money or the faith, I chose a ladder. Ooh, I can see I'm trying to keep us on the outside now. We pull up and watch you scatter. Running through the wall. Heaven got a playlist. I promise that's my favorite place, man. Faithful over famous. Yeah, faithful over fame. New rappers that shoot a blow, really drug addicts with a studio. You gotta pop pills on the usual, then that paradise ain't really cool to yo. If your world is really that flame, then why you always high trying to escape? Grand flexing, that's too fake. And them money phones, really money loans, and that real life is you coming home. Empty house in the heart of stone. Bad chick, super savage, cause for a bigger bag, she moving on. Oh yeah, you making moves, but these folks don't really love you. Industry only love dudes that they can use, don't get confused. Interviews that don't tiptoe, go and take them my info. His glory, that's simple. Riding around with that tempo. That's liberal, that's conservative, that's charismatic and reformed too. My wife happy and Jesus love me, ain't nothing left to conform to. Yo.
Check, check. All right, hey guys, what's up? Come on in. Grab yourself a seat. Hey, where is my friend Montana? Is Montana in here? No? All right. Well, come on in. Anyone else that left in the hall? I know there's a couple people. There he is. Woo. Guys, I'm so glad you guys are here this afternoon, this evening, whatever it is at this point of the day. I'm glad you guys can make it. Hey, Montana, could you come here? I got a question for you. Hey, I got a couple of quick announcements for you, though. The first one is, if it's going to show up there, masks are still required. So luchador masks don't actually count because they have a hole for either your mouth. So just normal masks are great. We're going to be jumping back into Ruth tonight. I'm super excited. I'm glad you can make it for that. And also the fresh box off the counter too. All right, I have a game tonight, and I need a couple people. Before you just volunteer, I need to tell you, I need people that don't have a lot of allergies, because it involves eating something. Earlier today, pretty much all of you will be able to participate in this game, I think. So, matter of fact, yeah, let's have, if you want to participate in this game, you can come on up here, go ahead and keep your mask on, and just like line up across the front here on this first step. Just line up. If you want to play, anyone can play this game. The game does involve some chocolates, some Valentine's Day chocolates that are very on sale right now. So here's what happened today. Yeah, anyone else that wants to come on and play this game? Sure. Yeah, you can put your hoodie and phone down. So here's the thing. Here's the thing, guys. I don't know if we have enough for everyone up here. So I'll start. Should I start with the ladies? This might weed some of you out when I tell you what it is. So here's what has happened. Earlier today, I'm essentially a doctor now. I put on some surgical gloves and the whole thing. And what I did is these chocolates, I flipped them over, I cut the bottom out, I scooped out the filling, and I filled it with Chick-fil-A sauce. Yeah! People love chocolate, and people love Chick-fil-A sauce. So here's what's going to happen. You get to take one chocolate, and throw it in your mouth, and if it has Chick-fil-A sauce, you are not our winner. If it doesn't have Chick-fil-A sauce, congratulations, you just won a fresh box of chocolates with no Chick-fil-A sauce. So, I don't know how many I have. I guess I'll start with the ladies. More of a chance to win. I'll just work my way down. So here's what you do. Just grab a chocolate, pull down your mask, throw it in, throw your mask back up. So also, I hope it's not too gross because you do have a mask on. Throw your mask back on, chew it up, and let us know, does it have Chick-fil-A sauce or not? Also, don't flip it over because then you'll be able to tell. That's kind of lame. So keep it down. Oh, almost forgot the mask. Chick-fil-A sauce so far? She's like, oh no, it's, uh-oh. That middle one? Throw it in. Guys, I can tell you so far, there's a little Chick-fil-A sauce dollop on each one they've taken off. So guys, you're still in luck. Ladies, I'm sorry you didn't win. You can go ahead and grab a seat. All right, don't look at the bottom of it. Just remember to not do that. Oh, he chose wisely.
If I eat all of it, do I just automatically win?
All right, you chose. And?
Chick-fil-A sauce.
Oh, Chick-fil-A sauce? Go for it. Throw it in there. Get ready. Go quick. Uh-huh. Still all Chick-fil-A sauce. Go for it. There's two more guys. Choose wisely. Throw it in. All Chick-fil-A sauce? All right, you guys can grab a seat. There's 2 left. Does anyone want one? They have you already had one. All right, well, hey, I have a confession to make. There's actually Chick-fil-A sauce in all of them because I got too excited. Like a doctor in surgery, I just was working so well that I just put Chick-fil-A sauce in all of them and forgot to leave one without Chick-fil-A sauce. So if you participated in our game, thank you so much. You're the best.
Can I have another?
You sure can. There's 2 left and there's 2 you guys. One of those I know has a lot of Chick-fil-A sauce in it. All right, I guess you can have both of them. Here, you can take this if you want to eat the Chick-fil-A sauce off of it. So, guys, I was like a doctor scooping out this Chick-fil-A sauce, and let me tell you, or scooping out this chocolate, and I was like in the zone, and Montana was there with me, and I was filling them with Chick-fil-A sauce, and we got to the end, and I was like, wait a second. I was supposed to leave one of these blank, and I didn't. So, what I have now is I have a fresh box. I have 2 boxes of chocolates. If you can guess the color that I'm thinking, you win one. Oh. What did you say it? What'd you say? Yeah. Oh. Where'd it come from? Was it you? It was blue. Here's some chocolates. Share them with your friends. Then share them. You're the first one I heard to say it, though. Yeah?
Was it the Batmobile?
No. All right. When I was 12 years old, I stubbed my toe on a dumbbell. What was the weight of that dumbbell? Oh! Did you say 2.5? That was it. I wasn't lifting it. I just stubbed my toe walking by it. I can't say I do. All right. Hey, if you guys give it up for those participants of our game. Oh, yeah. I love it. Hey, like I said, I'm so glad that you guys are here today. We're gonna jump back into Ruth, but before then, we are gonna worship together. So as our band comes up, you guys can go ahead and stand up. I don't know about you, but I need a stretch. So stretch it out for a second. Do what you need to enter into a time of worship. But as the band comes up, I'm gonna pray, and would you guys pray with me? Dear God, we love you, and we are thankful for who you are and for what you have done in our lives and for us. God, we ask now that tonight that we would see and we would hear and that we would learn something new about you. God, I pray that as we kind of talk about Ruth and we get in our high school gets into our small groups a little bit later, God, I pray that our conversations would be glorifying to you. God, I pray for our middle schoolers that already got in our small groups. God, I pray that as we chat about Ruth here in a second, that something new would stand out to us and that we would further and more deeply understand who you are, what you've done for us, and that you are sovereign and in control of every aspect of our relationships. Dear God, we love you and we thank you. Amen.
In my wrestling, in my doubts, in my failures, you won't walk out. Your great love will lead me through. You are peace in my trials.
Bow your heads and pray. Thank you, God, for this wonderful night, and thank you for our worship, and I pray that we will have a amazing message from Avery, and that everyone will get something from it, and have a safe night. Amen.
I gotta say, I also hope that it's an amazing message, but no promises. Just kidding. I can promise you that. I think. But does that sound boastful? Like, guys, tonight is gonna be just incredible. You guys are gonna love it. Oh, I hope so. All right. Whoop, I'm bringing this over. Coming in hot. All right. Guys, I'm excited because next week, just kidding. Next week, we are going to talk about some fun stuff. And this week, we are going to talk about some kind of weird things. And I say weird things, but the passage that we're looking at tonight is a little bit, I'm going to be honest, it's got some weird stuff in there, right? There's some grain. It's kind of like a weird date with some grain and some sneaking. And we'll get there, I promise, and we'll get through it together. But today, what I want to do, normally we kind of go through together, and we kind of like read a little bit, and I kind of explain it, and then we'll pull some things out. Today, I'm gonna do a little bit more of like we're gonna read the whole chapter of Ruth chapter 3. So if you have your Bibles, you can open them up or turn them on or go get them. I don't know. Also, just a side note, we're at church, so I'd encourage you guys to bring your Bibles. If you don't have a Bible, feel free to come ask me. I'll give you one. So just so you know. But today, we're jumping into Ruth chapter 3. I do want to we're going to start real quick at the end of chapter 2 where we picked off last time. So you can throw those first chunk of verses up there real quick. But you know what? Before we get into that, I want to embarrass myself for you real quick. So I'm going to tell you guys a little story. So when I was in college, my current wife, right, so you know how the story ends. It worked out well for me. My current wife and I, we decided that we weren't going to date, which is a weird way to start a relationship, right? And it didn't end that way, obviously, because we got married eventually. But we decided that we weren't going to date. And I think in some of my, like, sadness and some of my disappointment from that, I was like, hey, I think this other girl kind of likes me. And so I was like, hey, I started talking to this other girl. And I'm not going to tell you her name, or anything. But starts with a B and rhymes with Bree. Bree. Like the cheese, yeah? So this girl, Bree, and I started talking to her, and I kind of knew she liked me and stuff, and so I was like, oh, and let me tell you about some of the things I took Bree to do on dates, right? And let me tell you, this is what not to do, guys, this is what not to do on a date. Ladies, this is the kind of guy you don't want to avoid. I was a real scoundrel in this, did I say that right? Let me say it again. Ladies, guys, don't be like me in this story. And ladies, avoid guys like me from this story. So here's what happened. I'm getting there. So here's what happened. So we started going on a couple of days. It wasn't like super serious, but we started going on a couple of dates. And like I said, I was kind of like lonely, and I wanted someone to go do these things with me. So I did things that I wanted to do, but I didn't want to be alone for. I.e., I said, hey, you know what's a fun date idea? There's this abandoned building. Let's go sneak into it and explore. So we went into this abandoned building. We snuck in through an open window in the basement and went up to the roof and looked at the view. And it was kind of a pretty view, but it was in San Marcos, which is not that pretty, it's kind of just a brown town. Just all the buildings are beige. The sky is beige. Everything in San Marcos is just beige. And so, not that pretty. It's like sand color. It's just not great. So, it's almost night. So, it's some lights are kind of out there. Anyways, it was kind of a lame date because it's just something I wanted to do. And here's the thing. After a week or two, the school year ended. She went to the beach with her family. I stayed in Austin. We were chatting a little bit, not chatting a whole lot, a little bit. And then we decided she was going to drive back through Austin on her way to Waco or wherever she lived. I think it was around Waco. And she called me, and I was like, hey, when you get through Austin, let's hang out. Let's meet up. And she was like, hey, funny thing, my car broke down. So it really did break down. One of the other dates we did was she had a cool old truck, and so she helped me move. Super. I mean, guys, I'm awesome, right? So here's what happened. So she broke down on the side of the road with her cool old truck, and she's like, "Hey, I think we both know this isn't going anywhere." And I was like, "Yeah." Like we were both gonna kind of like break things off with one another. But what makes it even worse is right before that, while she was at the beach with her family, her birthday happened, and I said we didn't talk a whole lot while she was there, and I actually didn't really talk to her on her birthday. Thank you. Someone, you're just yelling, "Oh, wow," right? You guys are looking at me like, you scumbag, right? I'm the worst, right? And so here's the thing. I was terrible, right? I was her first boyfriend, right? I was her first boyfriend, and I hope that I am the worst boyfriend she ever has, right? I was her first, and I hope worst boyfriend. And here's the thing. Today, we're going to look at this encounter. I already told you there's some grain and some sneaking, but it's kind of what it really is it's kind of this date between Ruth and Boaz, some of these main characters through the book of Ruth, and it's kind of like a how-to date, right? Minus what they actually do, like the grain and the sneaking and stuff, but more of like how they treat one another, right? And so I will say I think I have grown a lot since then, so I'm not terrible, like I'm not the worst, but I had a time where I was not very good, right? And I think we all have been there. So this story is kind of like a how-to, what to aspire to, how to be a godly man in a relationship, or what to look for in a guy, and what expectations it's okay to have, right? So let's jump into it. First, I want to jump back to verse 20. It says, the Lord blessed him. So Ruth gets this grain right at the end of chapter 2. She gets this grain. She goes back to Naomi, and she shares it with her. And it says, the Lord blessed him. Naomi said to her daughter-in-law, he has nonstop showed his kindness in the living dead. She added, that man is our close relative. He is one of the guardian redeemers, right? This is where I wanted to focus in. He's one of our guardian redeemers, right? We're going to get into this more next week, but you got to know a little bit this week. But a redeemer is, right, remember, during this time, there's no food stamps or welfare or like old folks' homes. So this is kind of a way of taking care of the vulnerable in the society, and often women, by like if a husband died, what would happen would be the next relative, like so if a brother died, the other brother would like marry the widow. And we talked about this a little bit, marry the widow and take care of her. But what also would happen is the first child that they had, that the child wouldn't take like his name, but he would take after like the dead guy's name, right? Because it was still a way, he would still have a line, a lineage to live on after him and get the inheritance and all of that. And so it was kind of a big deal. But also like this woman would be protected and cared for and provided for, because like we keep saying, women can't own property and things. And so it became a real issue. And so this is kind of a law in Deuteronomy that we see here. So that's important. We'll talk about it more, but this idea comes back up in a second. So Naomi said to Ruth, her daughter-in-law, it will be good for you, my daughter, to go with the women who work for him, because in someone else's field you might be harmed, right? So she's saying, hey, go hang out, go stay around Boaz, because it could be dangerous for you to be somewhere else. He's got a job, ladies, first off. Boaz has a job. Second off, Boaz, he has got some means. He will protect you. He will care about you and care for you. You will not be hurt when you are around him. So Ruth stayed close to the woman of Boaz to glean until the barley and wheat harvest were finished. So she stayed the whole harvest season, the whole season of the harvest. She stayed, and you're like, ooh, they're going to like start flirting in the field, right? And then it says here, and then she lived with her mother-in-law, which is not the most romantic line in this story or the Bible, right? And so that is where we pick up in chapter 3. So you guys got it? So there are some things as we go through I'm going to point out about Boaz for you guys to maybe aspire to, and ladies, for you to kind of build your foundation of what it's okay to kind of expect or desire in a guy, right? So here it is. Let's jump into chapter 3. So what we just read at the end of chapter 2, that's kind of like Naomi's plan to, like, she's trying to make a plan to get Ruth wifed up, right? She's trying to get Ruth to get married to Boaz, and the first step of her plan is like, go get in his way, right? Go just be where he is, right? Like, the more you're around him, the more he might notice you, kind of a thing, right? Like, that's step 1 of the plan. Step 2 is kind of this, and I'm going to be honest with you, step 2 of the plan is bad advice most of the time, so let's get into it. One day, Ruth's mother-in-law, Naomi, said to her, my daughter, I must find a home for you where you will be provided for, right? She's talking about, hey, you need a place where you can be taken care of. We need to make a plan. And she's like, hey, here's the plan. This is what's happening, right? Now, Boaz, with whose woman you have been working, is a relative of ours. Tonight, he will be winnowing barley in the threshing floor. So here's the first, like, I want to point out, again, when it says relative of ours, she's not saying like, hey, he's our second cousin, like West Virginia style, like marry your relative. Like, I'm not telling you here, like, I'm not saying, hey, the first place you should look for a spouse is your sister or your brother. No, that's not what I'm saying at all, right? No. So what it's saying here, back to that idea of being a redeemer, right? Hey, he is in the line of our family that has the opportunity to provide for a woman in just the kind of situation that you are in. Make sense? Yes. All right, cool. So that's what's happening, right? He can provide for you because he is one of our relatives. He could be a redeemer, right? He's a kinsman redeemer. That's another way that's said in other times in the Bible, right? So tonight, he will be winning barley. So, hey, tonight the harvest is over. He's going to be on his farm, on his fields, at work, and he's going to be separating the seed from the rest of the stalk and all this stuff on the threshing floor. That's where they separate the seed from the chaff, right? So here's what you should do. Wash, put on some perfume, get dressed in your best clothes, then go down to the threshing floor, but don't let him know you are there until he has finished eating and drinking. So first thing, hey, I mean, like, you're not an unattractive lady, right? But, like, when Boaz has run into you, right, you've been picking your stuff, you got your yoga pants on, your messy bun, whatever it is, right? You're picking, you're sweaty, right? You're dirty, you're in a field, right? Why don't you just, like, this is her advice, and let me tell you, like, not all of her advice is good, but this is, like, it's starting to get questionable here in a second. But she says, hey, why don't you just, like, take a bath, put some perfume on, right? Like, maybe, like, get dressed in some, like, real clothes, like, get out of your yoga pants or your farm picking whatever, and why don't you go down to the party, because it's like it's over and they're about to celebrate the harvest that they just had. Go down, and why don't you just watch him? right? Like, it says, go down, but don't let him know you're there until he's finished eating and drinking. Go down, find him. Don't, like, just kind of be there, right? Just observe him from the shadows, right? That's, all right, so, chapter 4, when he finished eating and drinking, so he's going to, basically what's happening, it's like, chapter 1, they go to Moab, right? Elimelech moves his family to Moab because of a famine, right? And then the men die, and they say, hey, the famine is over, so we can go back, and there might be some food for us. So we know that there's been a famine in the area for like 10 years. Right? There's been a famine in the area for like 10 years, and they're like, hey, there's some food now. So there being food is kind of a big deal. So what they would do at the end of the harvest is they would gather it all together, have all this huge heap of grain, and they would basically celebrate what has happened. They'd celebrate that God has provided this food, and it's awesome, but they would also, what they would do is they'd sleep on the grain. They'd go and they'd, like, take a little nap on the big pile of grain. One, to celebrate, to, like, literally, like this is like if you like won the lottery or something, and a bank would let you go into a vault and just sleep on a big pile of cash, right? You are celebrating what has like I got all this money, I'm just gonna take a nap on it, right? It's like one end it's celebrating, on the other side it's protecting the investment, right? He's protecting, hey, there's a harvest, there's been a shortage of food. Some people might want to come take this. I'm going to protect it by sleeping on it, right? If there's anything you don't want stolen, sleep on it, right? Ever heard like Mr. Krabs in SpongeBob puts money in his mattress, right? If I learned anything from that show, it's that if you sleep on something, people can't take it. So, I don't know if that's a good lesson from SpongeBob, but anyways, so here's what happens. She says, go down there, see him, don't talk to him yet. When he lies down, note the place he is lying, right? When he lies down, just take mental note of where he lies, because later it's going to be dark. It might be hard to find him again. Take note of where he is, and then go uncover his feet and lay down. Go in there, get quiet, sneak in there, uncover his feet, and just lay at him, right? That's some weird advice, right? Ladies, if there's a guy that you kind of like, you want him to notice you, right? Do not sneak into his room, okay? Just don't do it. No, don't do it. Don't sneak into his room. That's weird, right? So this is getting into the questionable advice from Naomi. So verse 5, it gets more questionable, guys. Come on. Here it is. He will tell you what to do. Yeah, I'm sure he will, right? What is being asked is weird, right? We can acknowledge it. It's kind of awkward. It's like, hey, note the place he's laying. Go in there, uncover his feet, lay down. When he wakes up and finds a woman who's got some perfume and is dolled up and is showered and bathed, when he finds you there after he's been partying and whatnot, when he finds you, he'll tell you what to do. Naomi. You're like, what? Like this is, this has gotten out of PG. We're at least in PG-13 now. So this is where the advice starts to get questionable from Naomi. But Ruth's response, I will do whatever you say. Ruth answered. Ruth is like, good plan. And all right, okay, so Ruth accepts it, right? Questionable advice from Naomi. So she went down to the threshing floor and did everything her mother-in-law told her to do. So she's there, she got cleaned up, she's watching, she makes a note where he lays. When Boaz had finished eating and drinking and was in good spirits, now here I'm going to tell you, you don't get in good spirits from drinking Diet Coke. It was a party. He was drinking something to make him, in other translations, as his heart was merry. He had been drinking something. And Naomi knew that this was what was going to be happening, which makes her advice a little bit more questionable, right? So, when Boaz had finished eating and drinking, he was in good spirits. He went down to lay at the far end of the grain pile. Ruth approached quietly, right? Ruth gets all ninja, sneaks in there, lay down at the far end of the grain pile. Ruth approached quietly, uncovered his feet, and laid down. This is in the Bible, all right? In the middle of the night, something startled the man. Yeah, probably this. Anyways, in the middle of the night, something startled the man. He turned, and there was a woman laying at his feet. All right, pause. All right? Now, this is the moment things could get questionable. And before we turn there, I do want to say, you and me, our minds kind of, and Naomi's mind maybe, goes to kind of the gutter, right? So before we get there, I just want to say nothing inappropriate happens, right? But this is what makes this story, this is what makes it notable for us to say, hey, here's how a man should act and treat a lady. This is okay, what a woman should expect, and it's okay for a woman to have these kinds of expectations of a man, right? So I just want to say that before we get into it. So here's what happens. Who are you? All right, first thing we can note is if you wake up and there's someone by your feet or in your room or anything, a great starting point is ask who they are. Find out who it is, right? So that's what happens. He said, hey, who are you? And Ruth says, I'm your servant Ruth. She says, spread the corner of your garment over me, since you are the guardian redeemer of our family. Basically, what Ruth is saying here is, I'm not proposing to you, but I'm proposing that you propose to me. Right? Basically, what she's saying is like, if you wanted to marry me, I wouldn't say no. Can you imagine getting woken up? You're like, who is it? It's like, it's me, Avery, if you want to marry me. Yes. Right? Yes. It's weird. Yes, it's weird, right? Like, I don't know, have you guys ever, like, slept through an alarm and you wake up and you check the time and you're like, oh, I need to be on the bus in like 5 minutes. You like, jump out of bed and you're like, and you don't actually run anywhere. You just jump out of bed and you're standing next to your bed like this. Like, if there is a thing that would make me like, huh? It is someone saying, just appearing near me while I'm asleep and saying, hey, would you like to marry me? It's weird, right? So, there's some other things going on here, right? She's saying, spread the corner of your garment over me. She's not saying literally, hey, can I have some of your shirt? It's chilly in here. What she's actually saying is, hey, it's this word kanaf, right? The kanaf is like the corner, it's the edge, right? It's the same word that's used in a traditional wedding, right? The husband and wife, they would get in like wrapped together in a blanket to symbolize the unity, the covering of God over their relationship, right? It's the same word used throughout the Bible when it talks about, it's like the healing, like the healer's wings in Psalms and in Proverbs and other places, and in Malachi when it says there's healing in his wings, right? There's rest in his wings. It's the same word here. It's this covering. It's like, hey, cover me. She's saying, hey, protect me, provide for me, heal me, restore what is broken in my life. Marry me. You could marry me. Right? And it's like, hey, marry me. You have, and then it's like, you are a guardian redeemer of our family. You are this redeemer. You are the kind of close relative that has the opportunity, if you want, to marry me. Right? And restore the things in my life that have been broken when I lost my husband, when I lost my ability to provide and to be cared for, right? This is what she's saying. What a way to wake up, right? Verse 10, his response, the Lord bless you, my daughter, he replied. This kindness is greater than which you showed earlier. You have not run after younger men, whether rich or poor. So basically what Boaz is saying, first he says, may the Lord bless you. His response, right, in our mind goes to the gutter, but he finds Ruth there, like, and what does he do? He prays for her. May the Lord bless you. He starts praying for her. He cares about her. He says, hey, then he says, this kindness is greater than the first. He says, hey, you could have gone and sought a younger guy, rich or poor, but he's like basically saying, like, we're learning something else about Boaz. Boaz isn't a super young guy here, right? I mean, and neither is Ruth, really. Like, she was married and then her husband died. Like, it's like they moved there, they lived there for 10 years. During that 10 years, she got married. She was married for at least a number of years before he died. They came back. It's been about a year, like, working in the harvest, all this, right? They're not super young, but Boaz is like, hey, I'm not a young guy. I didn't think you would be interested in me. Like, for you to say that you're interested in me, like, I expected you to want one of these younger guys, whether more rich or more poor. You could have a younger guy than me, someone that care for you a little bit longer than me. I'm just little old Boaz, right? It's kind of how his response here. And now, my daughter, don't be afraid. I will do for you all you ask. All the people of my town know that you are a woman of noble character. Basically, what Boaz is saying here is he's saying, hey, I'm surprised that you would want that from me. Who am I to do that for you? Who am I that you would want me? Right, which is kind of harks back to when Ruth first encountered Boaz. She's like, who am I that you would be kind to me? And then Boaz says, You know what? I will do that. I'll do all that you ask. And then he says, for all the people of town, know that you're a noble character, right? This noble character, it's the same. If you guys have been around churches sometimes, especially ladies, you may have heard of a Proverbs 31 woman, right? Which is a verse in the Bible we often go to when we're talking, like churches often turn there, or like when we're talking about like, hey, what does a good woman look like? What is like a woman that is like pursuing God, that knows God's heart, that is like the kind of woman that all of us should want to marry, right? Like it's saying, hey, Ruth is a noble woman. She's a noble character. She's like a great catch just in her character, let alone her looks. And like we talked about last week, she's kind of ripped because she can carry that bag of grain for so long, right? That's what it says here, right? You are a noble character. And then let's jump into the next chunk. Although it's true that I am a guard and redeemer of your family, there is another who's more closely related than I. Hey, I want to do that. I want to redeem you, but here's the thing. There's someone else in line that's even closer that has, it's their opportunity, they're closer and they could do it for you. There's someone else in front of me that if they want to, it's their right to get to do that. Stay here for the night, and in the morning, if he wants to the duty as your guardian or redeemer, good, let him redeem you. But if he's not willing, as surely as the Lord lives, I will do it. Lie here until morning. So here he says, hey, there's another guy. If he's not willing to do it, I would love to marry you. I would love to redeem you. I'd love to end the tragedy of the situation that you're in. And then he says, lay here till morning. Hey, people, it's late, it's night, people have been drinking, partying, you're a foreigner, there's some racism against you and where you come from. So here's the thing, just stay here, stay safe. Again, he protects her, he's thinking of her. So she lay at his feet until morning, but got up before anyone could be recognized. And he said, no one must know that a woman came to the threshing floor. Right? Again, he says, hey, I don't want people to come. I want to protect your character. I don't want anyone to think anything happened here that didn't happen because you are of noble character. I want to protect your character. I want to protect the image that you have. Right? Like, ooh, man, Boaz, good guy, yet again. He also said, bring me the shawl you are wearing and hold it out. When he did so, he poured into it 6 measures of barley and placed a bundle on her. Then he went back to town. Right? Again, hey, I'm going to provide for you again. Hey, we're celebrating the harvest. We're making sure no one takes it. This is the harvest where it's here. Again, I'm going to give you my profit. I'm going to give you like the workings, what I need for a living. I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to provide for you. And I'm also going to give you enough to provide for Naomi, for your mother-in-law. When Ruth came to her mother-in-law, Naomi asked, how did it go, my daughter? Then she told her everything Boaz had done for her. Not everything Boaz had done to her. Not everything Boaz had done with her, but everything Boaz had done for her. Boaz served her. Boaz had protected her. Boaz had provided for her, right? And her response is, hey, here's everything that Boaz has done for me. And added, he gave me these 6 measures of barley, saying, don't go back to your mother-in-law empty-handed. Guys, just a hot tip for you. If there's a girl you're liking and her parents don't like you, you know, like it's like, ladies, if you like a guy and your parents don't like him, red flag, right? If a guy is like, hey, I like you, but I want to avoid your parents at all costs, red flag, right? Just saying. Don't go back to your mother-in-law empty-handed, right? Then Naomi said, wait, my daughter, until you find out what happened, for the man will not rest until the matter is settled. Here's the thing. He did not leave her hanging. He said, hey, here is a plan. Here is my intention. I intend to marry you. I intend to redeem you. I intend to bring you out of this situation. Wait for it. I'm going to do it. Just know it's coming. So, that's a lot. I do want to end. We're kind of going to work backwards for a second. I said a lot of good things about Boaz, but here's working backwards at that last chunk of verses. Naomi, after this encounter, she went back, Ruth, after this encounter, she went back to Naomi. We all need someone in our lives that we can go to talk. Let me say it again. We all need someone in our lives where when big things happen, when little things happen, we can go to share, to talk, to express what's going on, right? people to listen, to ask questions, right? That's why we have small groups here. But I also want to talk for just a second about love, right? Love is patient. Love protects. Love provides. The flip side of love is lust. Lust is impatient, right? Love seeks to take what often doesn't belong to it. Lust destroys. Love considers others. Lust only wants and desires its needs met, often immediately, right? Now, this is true for both romantic relationships, but it's also true for non-romantic relationships, for our friends and even our families. Last week, I asked the question, are you entitled or are you grateful, right? And this week, I want to kind of build on that question, and I want to ask you the question of, do you love others, or do you just care about other people loving you? Right? Do you love others, or do you just care about other people loving you? Do you just want what you can get out of a relationship? In any relationship, family, friends, whether romantic or not, if you're only looking for what you can get out of it, you're missing the point. If you're only looking for what you can get out of a relationship, you're missing it. Because here's my question. What did Jesus get out of loving you? Right? What did Jesus get out of loving us? What did Jesus get out of wanting a relationship with us? He got beat, he got mocked, he got spit on. He got us saying, I don't know, it's not very convenient for me right now. He got us saying, you know what, I'm just going to ignore him altogether because I want to do what I want to do right now. Here's the thing. God loved you enough. His love was patient. It protected. It provided for you. Provided relationship. It provided means for you to be provided for not just now, but for eternity in life with heaven, with God. And what did he get out of it? So here's my question. Who can you love better? Who can you love better? Maybe it is that guy or that girl that you've only been thinking about what you can get from them. But more likely, and there's even a better chance that it's probably a friend or a family member, right? Oftentimes, I think we expect people to be patient with us when we don't want to be patient with them. Oftentimes, we expect people to provide for us and get mad and upset when we don't get what we want, when we already have what we need. So my question for you guys, and I also want to say, man, guys, some of you are trying to enter into a relationship with a girl based off lust and hoping that it one day grows into love, and that is a foolish thought. Guys, if you enter a relationship based off lust, it is silly for you to just be like, man, I'm going to start just wanting from her, like what I can get from her physically, and it's going to grow into love. That's foolishness. Ladies, you are worth being pursued. Yeah. Ladies, you are worth being pursued. You are worth being cared for. A desire to be cared for, protected, thought of, provided for. That is not asking too much, and wanting that should never come with strings attached. That should be the baseline. Someone should, baseline. If someone doesn't make you feel safe and comfortable and provided for, don't hang out with them, right? So here's the thing. The question for you guys is, who do you need to love better? Is there a romantic relationship or not? Let's go small group. Dear God, I love you, and I thank you. I thank you for the students in this room that have heard you and know that you love and care about them. But God, I pray that tonight that we would see how you love and that you have cared, that you have provided for us. God, I pray that we would see that we haven't done a whole lot to earn your love, but you have decided to love us anyways. God, we love you and we thank you for that. Amen. All right, hey, the band is coming up here, but I gotta admit, I talked for a really long time tonight. So unfortunately, as much as I love you guys, that song we will listen to next week. So with that, you guys are dismissed. Middle school, your parents might be waiting for you. High school, you guys can run to small groups. real quick. I'm sorry.